guys, how's it going? It is my different username here, and today I'm going to be showing you another LEGO creation, and here we have the Wait a second. Wait a minute!
Sorry about that, guys, but hey, how's it going? My different username here. So, in this video, I'm bringing you another bolt-action rifle, but this one is a real blast from the past. Over the turn of the century, the British needed a rifle, so they had this, the LEGO Lee-Enfield No.1 Mark III. The Lee-Enfield is a very famous rifle. In fact, it was even manufactured back in the 1800s, 1895 through 1926, by the British Empire. And it even is still used today in smaller countries. Now, the reason I made this gun is because a friend really wanted me to make this, but also because of a game called Verdun, when you actually can fight in trench warfare. I gotta say, it's pretty fun. I would recommend you guys check it out, but it's no longer free. I don't know why, but yeah. Besides that, let's actually go on about the details with the rifle itself. So in this build, I actually went out of my way to smooth out the wooden parts of the weapon, and I have to say, the extra time it took waiting for the pieces was honestly worth it, because this weapon looks absolutely amazing. Almost everything on the weapon is actually smoothed out from the top and the bottom of it. If we actually open up the bolt, you can see the bullets inside, which contains the .303 British. Now, the reason the bullets are square is because it makes it easier to load inside of the weapon itself, and also because simply, I actually don't have any yellow cylindrical pieces, so I think in the future I'm going to get myself some of those. But right here you can tell you can actually chamber the weapon, which is pretty cool. I've only been able to do this with so very few of my models, but just like the Lee-Enfield itself, the bolt is also very smooth as well. And another thing to really talk about is the fact that it could be stopped. You know, you can only pull it back so far until it actually stops itself, just like the real life model. If you open up this section of the gun, you can see how the bullet is actually chambered. It's just pushed forward and then it rests in this little opening. Now, my gun does not shoot, so it's honestly just an opening area, does not actually feed into a barrel. Besides that, you actually see on top here, this is normally where you would put stripper clips, or I should say 5-round chargers through. And also here we have the safety and fire switch. It's actually a push forward. The fire switch is when you push it forward. When you push it back, it goes into safety. Unfortunately, it has no effect on the trigger whatsoever, so I can just pull the trigger either way. Now, the magazine is a different story. Normally you have a magazine release, but here I just have a pin. Now you just pull it out and well, anyway, you can see the round inside of it. Now, it only holds 1 round, but just gonna tell you this right now. We're gonna pretend like it holds 10 rounds, okay? Shh. And now that we've filled up the gun again, we can talk about the rest of the details that I didn't really mention earlier. So, as you can see in the back, it has a sling mount that rests under the stock, and as well, it has the back plate, which is just a metal plate that sits in the back. And if we go up forward, you can see even more details where it actually has slits in between the wooden plates and even the front, which you can see the barrel and the underbarrel. Now, we're going to talk about the little rail system that you can see under it a little bit later, but for right now, let's actually talk about the iron sights. The iron sights on this rifle are fairly easy to use and even easy to function as well. So right now we have the rear sight set to 100, now it's set to 200, to 300, to all the way to the moon. Not really, you can shoot someone if they were on the moon, but if you look inside, you can see a pivoting point, and that allows the rear sight to adjust its range. And around the rear sight, we have some metal ears to protect it from damage. And as well as that, we have the front sight that actually does the exact same thing, but they're a lot smaller because the front point is a lot smaller than the rear sight. And aiming it down is fairly simple. You just align the posts and rear sight together and shoot. It's really that simple. Now, there are some people who prefer to use iron sights like me, and then there are others who prefer something a little bit better. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. And right here we have the scope, and oh, what happened to the rifle? I can't see it. The reason for that is because the scope actually sits on the side, and the scope is actually known as the Aldis 1916 scope. It was an add-on for the rifle because after a little while the soldiers wanted increased range, and that's exactly what they got out of this scope. It has an increased magnification of around 8 times. It also, on my model, has 2 clear window pieces that sit on the ends of the lenses, and also the reticle sight inside. Because of the fact that the windows are not really that clean, it's actually very difficult to aim through and find your target, unlike the real model itself. Now, what's interesting about this is the fact that you can look through the scope and look through the sights just in case one or the other happen to break during combat. It's fairly nice and I like it, and also that's actually the reason why the scope sits on the side, for that reason, and also because you're not really able to feed in any charger clips or anything like that if the scope is in the way. Whew. It feels a lot better without that scope on it, adding a lot of weight to it. But anyway, now we're moving on to the second attachment. Remember when I was talking about the little rail that sits under the front? Well, there's a reason for that. Right here, we have a knife bayonet, and it's actually a very, very great melee weapon. Like, honestly, using it on its own, it's really nice, but you can also attach it to the gun itself. It's fairly simple how you do it too. You simply slide it into place, push in the 2 pins, and then you're ready for combat. It's really awesome. When the knife bayonet is attached to the gun, there are a lot of things that you could actually use it for. Obviously, one of them is a melee attack with a rifle, in which you just simply thrust the gun forward and into your enemy. So, there are easy ways of doing this. You can simply thrust, or slash, or stab, do any of that. My personal favorite is to run up to an enemy, stab them, and then with a final blow, pull the trigger and shoot them. My favorite. And as well, because this is Lego, I like to have fun and put both the attachments on at the same time. In reality, it doesn't make sense at all, but hey, you could do it because it's Lego. In fact, I can't aim down the sight. Whatever, it's still cool. Oh man, that was a lot of information and details and just overall everything to cover on this rifle. I've definitely done a lot of work on this, and I hope you guys have enjoyed as well. But the show's not over yet because we still need to shoot this gun finally. Let's get right into it. Subscribe for more vintage LEGO creations, like, favorite, and comment if you have enjoyed, and as always, thanks for watching!